They were once the kings of speed, pushing the very limits of performance on legendary tracks. Today, they are silent, rusting, and all but forgotten. Across the globe, old race circuits hide haunting relic scars that once made history, now left to decay on the very asphalt where they thundered to glory. Join us as we uncover 10 abandoned race cars still sitting on old circuits. Let's start our journey at number 10 in Italy at the legendary Monza circuit. Before it was the temple of speed we know today, Monza had a brutally dangerous high-speed oval. When it was finally abandoned in the 1960s for being too risky, several old racing shells were simply left behind. Even now, if you look closely in the grass near the crumbling, steep banking, you can find these rusting phantoms ghostly reminders of Italy's golden racing era. Next, at number 9, we head to England and the Brooklands circuit. As the birthplace of British motorsport, this track was a cathedral of speed. But World War II brought its racing days to an end, and it closed for good. Decades later, urban explorers and enthusiasts discovered rusted-out, pre-war racing shells half swallowed by nature near the overgrown track sections. These machines once broke land speed records, but now sit silently among the ruins of their former kingdom. For number 8, we travel to Spain to the Autodromo de Sitges Terramar. This incredible circuit, with its dramatic banked corners, opened in 1923 but was abandoned just a few years later due to financial problems. Over the decades, cars used for testing and local races were simply left to rot. Today, if you explore the site, you can still spot a few forgotten frames and body shells tucked away against the massive concrete banking, slowly dissolving back into the earth. Now, let's cross the Atlantic to number 7, Riverside International Raceway in the USA. This was once a blazing hotbed for American motorsport, hosting everything from NASCAR to Formula One. But in 1989, the engines fell silent forever. As the circuit crumbled, explorers found several stripped-down race cars abandoned in old garages and paddock areas. Their vibrant paint is now faded and peeling under the relentless California desert sun, a sad end for such powerful machines. At number 6, we find ourselves at the Kemala Motor Stadium in Finland. This eerie circuit closed its doors in the late 1970s and has been slowly reclaimed by the harsh Nordic environment ever since. Local photographers have documented a haunting scene, abandoned Formula Ford, and touring cars scattered around the pit lane, their metal slowly surrendering to rust and decay in the long, cold winters. Back to Spain for number 5, the Autodromo de Castellón. This is another track that fell victim to financial collapse, leaving behind a graveyard of speed. Several touring and GT cars were abandoned right where they stood. They're still there sun-baked, their interiors destroyed by the elements and vandals, but if you look closely, you can just make out the faint, ghostly outlines of their racing liveries. Number 4 takes us to France and the iconic Reims circuit. Once a host of the French Grand Prix, this legendary public road circuit was abandoned in 1972. The grandstands, pits, and scoreboards still stand like ancient monuments. And scattered around these crumbling structures, you can find the shells of classic French racing machines, left as eerie tributes to a bygone era of motorsport heroes. Heading to South America, number 3 is the Autodromo de Sitio Pardo in Argentina. Built with grand dreams of hosting international races, the track sadly never achieved its potential and closed down. After its closure, several local race cars were simply abandoned in its garages. Today, they sit shrouded in decades of dust, their powerful engines silent, their racing dreams unfulfilled. For our number 2 spot, we travel to Japan, to Fuji Speedway's old section. Fuji once had a notoriously dangerous, high-banked corner known as Daiichi. It was so treacherous that it was eventually abandoned for safety reasons. While concrete evidence is scarce, persistent rumors and whispers among local racing fans tell of old Japanese touring cars left behind near the unused section of the circuit, slowly decaying in the imposing shadow of Mount Fuji. And finally, at number 1, we return to the USA and the Roosevelt Raceway. Built with massive ambitions to host international Grand Prix racing in the 1930s, this New York circuit saw a burst of excitement but quickly fell into decline. In forgotten sheds and garages nearby, explorers have found some of the earliest American race cars, left behind like fossils, true relics of a failed but glorious dream. These abandoned race cars aren't just scrap metal. They are priceless pieces of motorsport history. Each one tells a silent story of speed, risk, and unbridled passion, now frozen in time. As nature reclaims these beautiful machines, their legacy continues to echo across the forgotten tracks they once ruled. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next adventure. See you next time.